The world knows Milana Vayntrub as AT&T's Lily, but that's only a small part of her life. The actor, writer, comedian has done a lot over the years, and a lot of what she's done has been to help others, even if it requires her to take some clothes off. Early in 2025, Vayntrub decided to use her fame for a good cause, and if that meant showing a little skin, so be it. The actor decided to raise money for Los Angeles wildfire victims by selling boudoir-style photographs through Only Philanthropy, an organization that allows its users to create adult-themed content and give the cash to good causes. Vayntrub's first two campaigns through the site yielded a huge amount of money for victims of the January 2025 fires. The first generated $170,000 for a single mother's GoFundMe in 4 days' time. The second fundraiser raised $350,000 in a week to support My Tribe Rise, a group of activists working in the Altadena area of California to help local citizens get on their feet.
Because of you and your help and your contribution and your belief that we could do something silly to heal the world.
In December 2025, Vayntrub announced that she wanted to continue her efforts and encouraged other creators and celebrities to join up. But Only Philanthropy isn't the first time Vayntrub has gotten involved with philanthropic causes. When she went to Greece on vacation in 2015, she was inspired to help Syrian refugees traveling across the Aegean Sea to Lesbos. She pitched in on the beaches of Lesbos, helping refugees get warm clothes after their voyage. After her time there, she helped to found Can't Do Nothing, an organization that supports other pro-refugee causes by way of donations, volunteer work, and social media activism.
It's a place for you to find out simple ways that you can help these displaced people.
Vayntrub has said she put together Can't Do Nothing to help her friends learn about ways they can contribute to refugee causes. She wrote for Pop Sugar, "It's very easy to paint the word refugees with a broad stroke, or dismiss their plights as another world disaster we have no control over. But when you meet them, laugh with them, hold their kids, and hear about their pasts or dreams for a future, it's a lot harder." Vayntrub is, of course, a refugee herself. She was born in the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic, or what is now the Republic of Uzbekistan.
In the United States, the Soviet Union is finally allowing thousands of Jews to emigrate and leave their lives of religious persecution.
Life in the USSR wasn't easy for her family, especially because they faced persistent religious persecution. She wrote for In Style, "In the 80s, we were living in the USSR where anti-Semitism was a deeply ingrained part of the culture. For my parents, both Uzbekistan-born Jews, life was a struggle. When Vayntrub was just 2 years old, her family fled Uzbekistan in hopes of finding religious freedom and political asylum in America. The process was long and grueling, with the family stranded in both Austria and Italy for a while. Once they finally made it to America, the Vayntrubs settled in California. Although Vayntrub attended Beverly Hills High School, she never completed her schooling there. She dropped out as a sophomore, wanting to advance her education faster. Vayntrub got her GED and moved on to the University of California, San Diego. There, she earned a degree in communication. Pretty appropriate, considering she's known for selling AT&T products. While she was at UCSD, Vayntrub participated in the student cabaret program in the Department of Theater and Dance, fostering a passion for performance, acting, and comedy that led her through the rest of her career. The Upright Citizens Brigade is one of the most famous comedy troupes in show business. It's a big talent farm from which Saturday Night Live gets its writers and stars. And its alumni roster also happens to include Milana Vayntrub. Vayntrub's work with the group paved the way for her future success in comedy. After her time with the UCB, she jumped into viral comedy, appearing in a number of short films before landing her first major sketch job with College Humor. From there, she co-created live Prude Girls with fellow College Humor alum Stevie Nelson. The channel is dormant now, but at its peak, it cracked 1 million views on 3 videos, including an awkward but hilarious conversation with Matt Damon.
How do you like them apples?
In the summer of 2017, Milana Vayntrub landed one of the most sought-after roles in Hollywood. She was cast as Doreen Green, aka Squirrel Girl, on Marvel's New Warriors, a superhero comedy series that was set to air on Freeform. The show was going to revolve around 6 20-somethings dealing with the challenges of young adulthood and being a superhero. Vayntrub was a relatively surprising choice for such a high-profile part, especially since better-known actors such as Anna Kendrick and Shannon Purser had publicly lobbied to play the character. But ultimately, Vayntrub's admission into the club that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe wound up rather muted. In 2019, Freeform and Disney canceled several small-screen projects that were not set to air on Disney+, including New Warriors. But Vayntrub eventually did get a chance to play Squirrel Girl, as she voiced the character on the animated short series Marvel Rising Initiation and the TV movie Marvel Rising Secret Warriors. She also starred in the Sirius XM narrative podcast Marvel's Squirrel Girl, the Unbeatable Radio Show, and in 2024 she was added to the Marvel Rivals video game cast as Squirrel Girl herself. Milana Vayntrub's first big break came in 1995 at the age of 8, when she appeared on 3 episodes of the classic medical drama ER. That led to a gig on the popular daytime soap opera Days of Our Lives, on which she played a young version of Kristen Blake, who would later become Kristen DiMera. The character of Kristen is one of the show's main villains. As Vayntrub recalled to Esquire in 2015, "It was really weird. I actually don't have tons of memories from it. I played someone in a flashback version. I ended up not auditioning for that. They just called me after they saw me on ER to do that." As is fairly typical of long-running soap operas, the role of Kristen has been played by many different actors over the years. Considering that, maybe there's a chance that Vayntrub could one day reprise the role as an adult someday. Soon after Days of Our Lives, Vayntrub booked a small but notable role on an episode of the Disney Channel sitcom Lizzie McGuire. Entitled Gordo's Video, the Season 1 episode concerns Lizzie's friend Gordo setting up hidden cameras around the school. In the midst of doing so, he happens to catch Vayntrub's character eating and belching. Appropriately enough, her character was officially billed as Cute Burper. As she recalled to Esquire, "I didn't even really have to burp, but I practiced my burps for a long time before that. I'm a professional, disgusting person." Vayntrub made 2 more appearances on Lizzie McGuire. On the episode Here Comes Aaron Carter, she plays a dancer, and she later appears as an extra in Season 2's You're a Good Man, Lizzie McGuire. As she noted to Esquire, "Comedy came early. I knew when I was a kid that I was silly, and I knew that I liked people who were funny, but I don't think I knew I was funny. I didn't really think about it."
Well, you've got to figure out a way to get everyone to see this.
With ER, Days of Our Lives, and Lizzie McGuire on her resume, Vayntrub had a pretty good run as a child actor, but then she nearly quit the industry for good. Her reason wasn't burnout or exposure to vices or anything dramatic like that. Instead, she simply thought it wasn't for her. As she explained to Esquire, "I stopped around middle school and high school. I remember thinking, I should probably focus on something more realistic. This is probably not going to work out. I have high hopes, but that's probably not enough to make it in film." But Vayntrub couldn't quite shake the acting bug when she went to college, as a terrible bout of boredom during that time in her life convinced her to return. As she divulged to Esquire, "They had a really great theater program, so I just took theater classes so I could not go crazy and keep myself busy. I totally got sucked back in." When Vayntrub won the role of Lily Adams in the AT&T commercials, she thought it would be just another short-term acting gig, but the response was so strong that within 3 years she had appeared in more than 40 ads for the telecom company. As AT&T's Vice President of Advertising Valerie Vargas revealed to Adweek in 2016, "The first spot was so successful for us that we thought, let's do another one, and then another one, and then another one. It was so well received that we kept bringing her back." So what is the secret behind the success of these commercials? According to Hank Perlman of Hungry Man, the company that produces them, "I think Milana's Lily resonates with audiences because she's a multi-dimensional character in a way that's rare for commercials. We try as hard as we can not only to make her funny, but to make her as strong, smart, and human as possible."
Who's on TV now?
NBC's time-jumping, tear-jerking family drama This Is Us was one of the most popular broadcast network shows of the 2010s and early 2020s. Over the course of its 6 seasons, the Emmy Award-winning series was a ratings juggernaut that also served as a showcase for some amazing acting. This Is Us was beloved for its unique style of switching back and forth between 3 siblings growing up in the 80s and 90s and their adult lives in the present day. The oldest sibling was Kevin Pearson, played by Justin Hartley, a dissatisfied TV star who leaves his top-rated show and joins an off-Broadway play called Back of an Egg. Vayntrub had a recurring role on This Is Us as Sloane Sandberg, a playwright who dates Kevin for a brief spell. She ultimately appeared in a total of 8 episodes in the show's first season. Vayntrub had some serious comedy training. That humorous background has led to some small but memorable roles in several high-profile projects. In the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot, for example, she made a brief dialogue-free appearance as Subway Rat Woman. The scene involves her reacting with visible disgust when scores of ghost rats poured out of a subway station. The director of that movie was Paul Feig, who also worked with Vayntrub on the short-lived Yahoo Screen sitcom Other Space. Vayntrub seems to be a favorite of another popular comedy director, as she popped up a couple of times on the Netflix series Love, which was co-created by Judd Apatow. She played Natalie, the ex-girlfriend of the main character Gus. While she's not yet an A-list name, Vayntrub has certainly been rubbing shoulders with the right people.
It's 11 a.m. and you're stoned and you're at my house. I'm worried.
In addition to her acting career, Milana Vayntrub has been known for putting pen to paper, or finger to keyboard as the case may be. She's been credited as a writer on 5 Robot Chicken episodes as well as multiple college humor sketches. Outside of sketch comedy, she has a co-writing credit on the 2019 film Mother's Little Helpers, which she also starred in. She's also written for websites like The Daily Beast and Pop Sugar, as well as on her own Instagram, where she offers her unique perspective on family, Judaism, and the acting life. Vayntrub's writing has even been nominated for awards. In 2020, she was recognized as part of the writing team for the streaming sketch comedy show Making Fun with Akilah and Milana at the YouTube Streamy Awards. And her miniseries That Moment When was nominated for a Webby Award and 3 Telly Awards. A squirrel isn't the only furry creature that Vayntrub has inhabited. In 2021, she starred as a mail carrier named Cecily in the horror comedy movie Werewolves Within. When a blizzard causes the residents of a small town to seek shelter in a lodge, an even bigger problem is revealed when a werewolf starts picking off the characters one by one. As the lack of trust gradually grows within the group, the bodies continue to pile up.
Be a good neighbor. Like Mr. Rogers.
With guns, though.
With guns, yes.
Skip ahead if you don't want to be spoiled, but in the end, Cecily and the friendly forest ranger named Finn are still alive. The evidence seems to point to Finn as the werewolf, but that's a big fake-out as it turns out that Cecily was the lycanthrope all along, and she planted the seeds of paranoia to make it easier to hunt everyone down. Maybe she wasn't a fan of their current cell phone plans? Vayntrub earned some rave reviews for the movie. David Ehrlich of IndieWire, for one, declared, "Milana Vayntrub is radiating movie star potential and a winsome performance that shades her natural comic sass with all sorts of self-aware texture."
Or you could be me.
In a 2022 essay for the Daily Beast, Milana Vayntrub wrote about some health problems that she suffered back in 2020 that seriously impacted her quality of life. As it turned out, she hurt one of her ankles so badly that she couldn't move her foot. The injury sent painful jolts through her body, a sensation she compared to the complicated and difficult labor she experienced when giving birth to her first child. That comparison may have come as a surprise to many of her fans, as she had kept her motherhood journey under wraps before then. But as it turned out, Vayntrub and her husband had welcomed a baby boy back in May 2021. He arrived perfectly healthy, but the labor experience wasn't so simple, as the baby's head was pushing against the mom's spine during the delivery, which resulted in tremendous pain for her. While Vayntrub did reveal some of her motherhood stories, she's also kept the rest of it private, as she hasn't disclosed her son's name. In addition to her showbiz career, Vayntrub has made time for advocacy. This includes being outspoken about abortion rights, as she had an abortion herself when she was in her early 20s. In her 2022 essay for the Daily Beast, she revealed that at the time she was still taking random jobs to get by, and thus was not in a good financial space to raise a child. So when she accidentally forgot to take her birth control and got pregnant, she immediately had an abortion at her doctor's office. When Vayntrub eventually did have a baby, she was able to bear a difficult labor because she chose to go through with it. She emphasized that both her experiences with abortion and birth have impressed upon her the right for all Americans to have the freedom and power to make their own choices about their bodies, lives, and futures. Milana Vayntrub was born in 1987 in Uzbekistan when it was part of the Soviet Union, but she spent most of her life in the United States. Her father, meanwhile, spent much of his time working at his business in Russia. During an appearance on the podcast Meditative Story, Vayntrub shared what it was like to grow up with a dad who was only around intermittently. While he split his time evenly during her elementary school years, his time away from her increased as she got older. This resulted in him missing a lot of important events in her life, including her bat mitzvah. Vayntrub's father continues to spend much of his time away from his daughter, though they do manage to stay in touch over the phone and via occasional in-person visits. He also flew to the U.S. after the birth of her son, although COVID-19 pandemic protocols required him to quarantine for 5 days before he could play with his grandson. Well, Vayntrub feels that she now has a pretty good relationship with her dad. She wants to have a different relationship with her own son that isn't similarly long distance.